yes. Thank you all for tuning in to the Special Educator series. Critical Thinking with a Twist. That's our motto around here. I'm your host, Tom Hankins, instructor, tutor, consultant, and musician. For those of you watching on video, this information is at the bottom left of the screen. And for those of you that are on audio only, I'll read this out for you. Our website, the main hub of all the stuff we have going on, is at tsegrp.org. Again, tsegrp.org. Email directly to the website hosts, I would say, is probably the best thing to do if you want to leave anything that's detailed. That is host@tsegrp.org, host@tsegrp.org. I personally monitor that email. For our social media, all our outlets are fairly similar, but Facebook and X are the same as the website at TSEGRP. Again, TSEGRP. YouTube, little different, at TSEDGRP. Again, TSEDGRP. And Instagram, still can't get a better one. You got to spell it all out. The Special Educator. The Special Educator. All right. So back to another point of business. If you are watching on video, you see my usual animated icons at the bottom there, center, prompting you to like, follow, subscribe, get notified, any questions or comments. And we are going to be starting off today with, I'm going to call it the first in my true educational postings. We had postings about the launch. We had postings about the Pike method and certain policies, particularly the age policy. But this is going to be a little bit more meat and potato stuff. So let's get into this. Today's topic, if we go back here, is energy issues. This is going to be the first in a series of stuff about energy. This first installment is going to be what I'll call a little bit on the light side. I'm just going to discuss the sources of energy. I'll put a couple other notes in there when it's all said and done, but for right now, I just want to focus on sources. The next installment will be a little bit deeper dive, and we'll keep going further and further along. So let's get right into the document. This is just a summary, a brief summary of the sources of energy. So I'm going to start off with the ones that have been around pretty much the longest, our petroleum hydrocarbon-based energy generation. I've kind of organized this in what most people would say is cleanest to dirtiest, although nothing's totally clean in energy production. We'll get to that truth in a bit. But let's just say natural gas, followed by propane and liquid natural gas. And then you have crude oil and coal. I do want to let you know, when it comes to petroleum hydrocarbons, outside of coal is a solidified product that you strip mine. But anything else, natural gas, crude oil, all that stuff is done through exploration and drilling. So I want you to imagine, if you will, a soda bottle. And when you start taking the cap off, the pressure comes out. So your gas, your gaseous stuff that is going to be at the top is under pressure. And when you tap into a reservoir, nowadays we collect as much of that as we can, and it becomes a great clean energy source long before we even start to pump out, crude oil. Now, crude oil is fairly easy to get to. Once you start tapping that, a fair amount of it is under pressure and will come out quite readily. Once that pressure is equalized, you then can start pumping it out. If you've seen a lot of the oil pumps going up and down, they have plenty of classic photos of that. But once it gets down to the point where it becomes difficult to pump, then we start bringing up the term about fracking or hydraulic fracturing of the formation that it is found in to get more out. We'll discuss that in a later episode, but I just want to give you an idea. That's where, at least for America, our big bread and butter is right now. Alternative energy sources, and I'm just going to go through here, include wind and solar, very hot topics these days. Hydroelectric, it's been around in various forms for quite some time with dams, but there is some additional hydroelectric technology coming out that doesn't involve dams. We'll go into that at some point. We also have nuclear energy. Technology is changing on that every day. Pretty much gone are the large form nuclear reactors, say a la 3 Mile Island or Chernobyl. That type of stuff is long behind us now. Some things that are fairly more esoteric, a little bit more difficult to get our hands on here in the U.S. is geothermal, which, by the way, is the primary source in like Iceland. There are so many thermal resources just below the Earth's crust that they can tap into that and actually produce more than enough power for the majority of their electric grid. And that's very clean technology. Some very esoteric ones, piezoelectric, electromagnetic, and geomagnetic. Those are mostly what we would call less than production. Those are more like energy harvesting technologies. A little bit further out in the food chain, if you will, of energy sources. So with all of these sources, the one thing I want people to think about for our upcoming presentations, I've given you, a bunch of sources. These are some of the things we're going to start picking apart with each of these different types of energy considerations. First of all, we need to look at location and the type of infrastructure that's required. You can't just put energy production plants anywhere. Some places there's only certain locations you can go to. Distribution and transport. This is going to be a big one that is going to actually be, it's going to be a tough one to really discuss because distribution and transport is very intricate and involves all sorts of means to get different types of energy moving around not only the United States, but the globe. We need to talk about, these are kind of related, real-time response and demand. What we talk about with real-time response is, for example, if the demand on the electrical grid, for whatever reason, it's exceptionally cold, it's exceptionally hot, whatever it may happen to be, peaks out, we need to have the ability to compensate for that to avoid brownouts and blackouts. Those are things that really we need to think about. Demand is not only the ability to respond, but it's also the growing demand overall. Total demand for electricity is only growing, and it's only increasing the rate at which we need it. And not just here in the United States. I mean, our information technology with AI and quantum computing and need for all sorts of servers and data storage requires a lot of space and a lot of electricity. So as our technology evolves, we're going to need a lot more anyway. But let's talk about developing countries. They're way behind us technologically and demand-wise. They're only going to grow as well. Efficiency is really a matter of a whole bunch of different things. We were going to refer to topics under efficiency such as transmission loss, energy density. We're going to get into that a little bit with another topic coming down the road. But efficiency is really, think of it this way. If you can increase the efficiency of any part of the system, that will effectively bring down demand. So efficiency and demand kind of work well together. Environmental, this is going to be a hot topic for me. I'm a former environmental geologist. I did a lot of hazmat cleanup, and I just know the electrical grid system and energy companies in general, because a lot of my work was done with New England Electric before there was EverSource and all this other stuff around here. It was very fun and interesting at the same time. But we'll get to that quite a bit. And then ultimately, financial considerations. Everything needs financial resources. You can't just start blowing money on something that hasn't been developed properly and expect to get a good return on investment. It's just not going to work. So for right now, I am going to let this video go. I'm going to put a little written blog prompt up there. So for this episode, there will be a blog entry for it so you can respond, and that'll be a good starting point. So for now, once again, go to the full cam here. I am your host, Tom Hankins, instructor, tutor, consultant, and musician. Our contact information down at the bottom left for those of you that are not able to see it and are just listening. Go through it real quick. The website is tsegrp.org. You can email myself and any other host or staff member at host@tsegrp.org. host@tsegrp.org. Facebook and X are the same, TSEGRP. Real simple, TSEGRP, just like the website. YouTube, a little different, TSEDGRP and TSEDGRP. And Instagram, it's The Special Educator. Again, the whole thing, The Special Educator. Anyway, I'm going to let the music fade back in here, and I hope to see you in the next episode fairly soon. Take care. Be safe.